Okay, let's make better sense of where we're at. Let's make better sense of where we are. Let's make better sense of the relationship between where we are and what's out there. Let's make better sense of what it means to say what's out there. For example, we look to the stars, we look to the heavens, we look to the sky for our loved ones, we look toward the sky, we look upwards as a general expression of the next level, something else, more, okay? From whatever we have here to more out there. Let us look at that same expression, but instead of looking outward, okay, why don't we look inward? And when we look inward, let us not look at just ourselves, but also our environment, the surroundings, the backdrop, that which supports us. So, what are we getting at? Earth. This is what this video and perhaps this video series is going to be about, which is having maybe a better perspective, us reviewing and discussing so that we could have a better understanding of our environment and what that environment means. What's the whole deal with that environment, right? So, okay, we come from our environment. Not only are we influenced by it, but we come from our environment. If you want to go fundamental or basic, we're born from it. The materials that we are made of are the same materials that our environment are made of, and everything else as well. So we're born from that. So, I mean, if you're going to start your approach to better understanding things, we start with understanding that our connection, our relationship to the planet is way more significant than it is coincidental or, haphazard, random, or insignificant. It's way more significant. It's obvious, even in a fundamental sense or a basic logical sense, okay? We come from the earth. We come from the materials of the earth. We are naturally compatible with the earth. Now, we can go on about that subject, okay? But let's cut to the chase a little bit, and maybe in the next videos or whatever we can come back. But at least let's cut to the chase, okay? While I remember what I can cut to, and also so that we can get to the point faster also in case we meander. Because none of this is scripted. It's freestyle, and a bit of it is intentional to be freestyle so that we, discover at the same time. But let us look at it like this, okay? Nothing that the planet does, nothing that nature does, it does by accident, okay? Even though we may describe certain things as accidental or like mutations, where the specific thing that occurs from the mutation may be not intentional, or at least specifically not intentional. It may be an accident. The broader picture of it, mutations in general are intentional, okay? In the sense that they come from a system. A mutation happens because of a certain nature, a certain biological nature, a certain interaction, okay, in the development of an organism. And that, okay, we could actually start to speculate, we could actually start to consider or suggest that that is intentional, that nature allows that, okay, that nature has developed to allow that type of variance. Okay, now it's totally fair to also say that what we're viewing right now are the early stages of a biological development. And so in the early stages, we certainly may look at things like mutations and accidents as as flaws, and we could definitely make an argument that in a broader picture or with more time, we could show that nature is moving away from that, moving away from those flaws. We could possibly show that, but I'm looking at it at least one, and that's fine too, okay? But even if nature was moving away from that, the fact that we do have that means at the very least, we're not wrong for discussing what benefits we are getting from that, okay? Even if nature's ultimate goal is moving away from that, okay? It's still beneficial to discuss it, so we're not wrong for wasting our time. We're not wasting our time reviewing these ideas. But specifically, what I'd like to approach is looking at that type of behavior from nature as intentional, not only beneficial, but as intentional, to allow that variation in a sense similar to if we were trying to make an artificial intelligent, okay, machine. We would want to have in the behavior of that machine some range of options that mimic a human behavior, or that mimic choice, okay, that help fortify or help define some kind of free will for that machine, so that when the machine does make a choice, okay, we understand that it's not a cold calculated choice with no other options. Let's finish this up before it gets too long, and then we'll start another one. But in the sense that we want the machine, okay, to come to the correct answer with the understanding that there were a lot of other answers the machine could have chose that would have been wrong, okay? If we program or set a course so that the machine only has one option, which is to come to the correct answer, how can we really determine the intelligence of that machine, or at least the free will intelligence of that machine? The same would go for nature. If nature put itself in a situation where it could only make a certain decision, a certain outcome, okay, then I think nature would have difficulty, okay, determining whether that outcome was truly beneficial. We're talking very complicated here because we're talking about nature. At the same time, we're trying to imply an intention in the behavior of nature, and we're trying to imply an intentional behavior, an intentional intelligence, or at least we're trying to find or discuss the equivalent of what intelligence would be for nature. And we're thinking that the way nature has expressed that this kind of intelligence is through choices, is through a range of possibility, is through that little range of unknown. Okay, we know that the overall behavior of nature is always producing something that's going to help sustain or help survival and or help better the operation of that organism. Okay, but okay, that's the broad one, that's the general one, that's the overall objective. Okay, but within that overall objective are ranges of varying possibilities that occur from that. Sometimes they do occur negative, but nevertheless, okay, there are varying ranges, and by having those varying ranges, nature can sort of to make it very simple, nature can compare. Okay, nature can be selective, or the environment can help make the decision for nature.